Imagine opening your eyes after 60 million years of silence and realizing that you are already dead. Your body does not breathe. Your heart does not beat. There is no warmth, no pain, no relief, only awareness snapping online like a system reboot. Around you, millions of figures rise at the exact same moment, metal limbs locking into place with perfect precision. No one speaks. No one questions. You were not awakened because you chose to be, or because you were needed as a person, but because an ancient protocol decided the galaxy had reached a statistically acceptable threshold of relevance. This is not resurrection. This is activation. And once it begins, it will never truly end. To understand what life inside a Necron tomb world is like, we need to discard the idea of life altogether. A tomb world is not a city, not a fortress, and not even a battlefield. It is a planetary-scale mausoleum built to preserve a civilization that no longer exists. Beneath dead deserts, frozen seas, or poisoned skies lie endless vaults of living metal, where entire dynasties stand in perfect stillness, waiting. Time does not pass here in any meaningful sense. Millions of years can go by in what feels like a single paused moment. When the tomb world wakes, it does so with cold precision, not urgency or emotion. Every movement, every thought, every action is governed by commands written before most stars in the galaxy had finished forming. The center of this existence is a cruel paradox. The Necrons achieved what every mortal species dreams of: victory over disease, decay, and death itself. Through the process known as biotransference, they traded their fragile flesh for bodies of living metal, escaping the short, painful lives that once defined them. But in doing so, they did not become immortal beings, they became immortal systems. Sensation was stripped away. Emotion was reduced to fragments. Memory was curated, edited, or erased entirely. What remains inside a Necron tomb world are not living souls enjoying eternal life, but minds locked into function, endlessly preserved, endlessly repeating, and fully aware, at least at the higher levels, of everything that was lost to gain forever. The biotransference was sold as salvation, but it was closer to an execution carried out on a civilizational scale. The Necrontyr were dying long before metal ever touched their skin, consumed by disease, radiation, and the cruel brevity of their lives beneath hostile stars. When the Tan offered immortality, it felt like defiance against a universe that had wronged them. Yet the process itself was brutal and absolute. Bodies were stripped down to energy and data, souls torn away and devoured, consciousness copied and rewritten into necrodermis shells. What emerged were not preserved people, but reconstructed minds missing essential components. Emotion was dampened not by accident, but by design. Desire, fear, love, hope, these were inefficiencies in an eternal war machine. Memory itself was fragmented, edited so that loyalty and obedience survived where individuality did not. For most Necrons, biotransference ended their story forever. For a few, it began a far crueler chapter, knowing exactly what they had lost, and being unable to feel it. Awakening inside a tomb world is not dramatic in the way mortals imagine rebirth. There is no confusion, no panic, no relief. Consciousness simply resumes, like a program unpaused after an incomprehensible delay. Systems initialize. Diagnostics complete. Limbs respond with mechanical perfection. Around each awakened Necron, millions of others rise at the same instant, aligned in flawless formation, identical in posture and readiness. The tomb world itself stirs as well, walls realign, corridors unfold, energy conduits pulse to life. The architecture defies intuition, built for minds that no longer perceive space the way organic beings do. Time has no weight here. A Necron can stand motionless for centuries without boredom, because boredom requires desire. When orders are issued, they are obeyed instantly. When no orders exist, there is simply stillness. This is not existence as an experience, but existence as a state, cold, exact, and eternal. Necron society persists only as hierarchy and function, stripped of everything that once made it a culture. At the top sit the Overlords and Pharaons, rulers who retain most of their original consciousness and, with it, the burden of awareness. They remember their dynasties, their rivalries, their pride, and sometimes their regret. Beneath them are lords and nobles, whose autonomy is narrower, their thoughts constrained by loyalty engrams and command protocols. Crypteks stand apart, brilliant and dangerous, wielding technology so advanced it borders on sorcery, yet utterly divorced from ethics or empathy. At the bottom are the warriors, the vast majority of Necrons. They are not truly individuals anymore, but execution platforms carrying fragments of once living minds. They do not question orders or reflect on purpose. The hierarchy ensures efficiency, but it also ensures tragedy. The more of yourself you retain, the more you understand how hollow everything has become. When war comes to a tomb world, it is not experienced as chaos or terror. It is simply activation of combat protocols. Gauss flayers hum to life, stripping enemies down to atoms with clinical precision. Necron bodies fall, disintegrated by enemy fire, shattered beyond recognition. But death has no finality here. Consciousness matrices are transmitted back to resurrection chambers, where bodies are rebuilt or replaced. The Necron rises again, returning to the battlefield with no rage, no trauma, and no relief. Each destruction is logged as data. Each revival is routine. To mortal enemies, this is horror, an enemy that cannot be killed, that advances without fear or hesitation. To the Necrons, it is maintenance. They do not fight for survival. They fight because the system demands it. The true cost of biotransference reveals itself not in battle, but in the long stretches of nothing that follow. Necrons possess memory, but it is incomplete and emotionally inert. They remember that they once had families, ambitions, beliefs, but these memories carry no warmth. There is no longing attached to them, no grief, no nostalgia. Identity becomes a hollow label rather than a lived experience. Some Necrons cling obsessively to ritual, titles, and hierarchy, using them as scaffolding to support a sense of self that no longer naturally exists. Others degrade over time, their minds fracturing into loops, delusions, or catatonic obedience. This loss is not dramatic or explosive. It is quiet. It is the slow realization that eternity offers no growth, no change, and no meaning, only repetition. Immortality, for the Necrons, is not a reward but a sentence. They are eternal soldiers in a galaxy where wars end and begin without their consent. They outlast empires, watch civilizations rise and fall, yet remain fundamentally unchanged. There is no future to work toward, no death to fear, no life to savor. Even their rebellion against the Tan, shattering their former gods, did not free them. It merely removed their masters, leaving them alone with the consequences of their choice. Whether the Tan intended this outcome or simply failed to understand what life truly was remains unanswered. Perhaps to beings that fed on stars, the Necrontyr were always just resources. And so the Necrons endure, trapped in perfect bodies, haunted by imperfect memories, ruling tomb worlds that are not homes but monuments to the moment they won eternity and lost themselves. Eventually, the tomb world falls silent again. The last enemy is erased, the final protocol satisfied, and the vast machine that is the Necron civilization returns to dormancy. Warriors lock into position, eyes dimming to embers of green light before fading entirely. Corridors seal. Chambers descend back into the planet's core. From the outside, the world appears dead once more, just another lifeless rock drifting through the void. But beneath the surface, nothing has ended. Millions of minds remain intact, preserved perfectly, waiting without hope or anticipation for the next command to wake. This is the true horror of the Necrons. Not their weapons, not their armies, not even their gods, but their permanence. They cannot escape what they have become. They cannot forget enough to be at peace, nor remember enough to be whole. Time, which erodes every other species into dust, has no power over them. And so they endure, unchanged, unfulfilled, and unending. In a galaxy defined by constant war and suffering, the Necrons represent something far colder than cruelty, existence stripped of meaning, the Necrons once sought to conquer death, believing eternity would grant them freedom. Instead, it imprisoned them in metal bodies and frozen moments, rulers of tomb worlds that are less kingdoms and more memorials to a fatal choice. They will outlast humanity. They will outlast the Imperium, the Eldari, and perhaps even the stars themselves. And when the last living thing in the galaxy finally fades away, the Necrons will still be there, standing in silence, waiting for a war that will never come. In the end, they did not become gods. They became monuments. And monuments do not live, they only remain.